sipping away.
Don't keep anything in the house but milk, so I'm going to give it water.
Okay. Ready? Tell us your name, where you're from, and how old you are.
My name is Mimi Mills. I'm from Oxford, Mississippi originally. I live in Columbus, and I'm 41 years old.
Sweet. Okay. What's your sobriety date, Mimi?
January 4th, 2017.
Okay. And now, next question is, how was your childhood?
My childhood? It was great. I grew up I had 2 older brothers, and typical childhood, nothing traumatic at all. It just, my family was very active in church. We take vacations. We're very active in music, so we're a very musically talented family.
Cool. Did you play an instrument or anything?
I did clarinet for a little bit, but we more so sang.
Like one time in band.
Yeah, I hated band. Anyway, that was like 2 years of my life I could never get back.
Okay.
But yeah, we sang a lot, and me and my brother were in the all-state choir.
Cool.
For a few years, so yeah.
Well, so as an addict, what drugs did you use? What was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice started out as pain pills. I had a normal life up until I was 31 years old. Yeah. I drank some, but not enough to have the allergy, I guess, or the addiction to alcohol. Sure. But when I was 31 is when I started doing pain pills.
Pain pills. Mm-hmm. What do those do to you?
Make you feel great.
Make you feel great.
Yeah, it just made everything numb,
Okay.
So, and then later on, I went to the cheaper, heavier stuff, which I said I never would do. Went to heroin, and the people I was around were doing crack, and I did that as well. But my main thing was heroin.
Well, so describe maybe some of that progression.
The pain pills, it just got to just a few to more, and I wanted more, and it's like I couldn't get enough to get high.
Yeah.
And when you don't take them for a while, you get really sick. And at the time, I couldn't get any more, and the person I was with had heroin. And when you're sick, you do what you can to make yourself feel better.
How long did you stay on heroin?
About 2 years.
2 years?
Mm-hmm.
And was it just back to pills, or just...
No, I was on heroin towards the end of my addiction, and I couldn't. I tried cold turkey, and I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't do that. So.
Okay. Well, let's see. All right. So now, can you describe Well, we talked about that. What did you lose in your addiction?
I lost my family, lost my job, lost my house, my car. I went to the streets in D.C. I had nothing.
So you were in Washington at the time?
Yeah, in
DC?
the Maryland, D.C. area.
Okay.
I had nothing. I was living in other people's houses that I wouldn't really call a house, per se, and then hotels, my car, and then when I lost my car, we were in and out of hotels or on the street.
How did you get here?
I'm from Oxford originally, and I can tell you later on I got back. Some family brought me back, some friends brought me back, and went to treatment.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So let's see. So you're losing everything. You're heavy in there. What was the reaction of family, friends, that kind of thing?
They were very hurt, but of course I was oblivious to it.
Sure.
They were thousands of miles away. I had my brother and sister-in-law up there, but they were done with me at that point. And I guess at that point I still didn't see myself as an addict. I just was surviving, I guess. And I see now that I caused them a lot of pain.
I think that's a progression, especially when we come out of the numb.
Yeah,
those feelings come
definitely.
Back. Oh man. Okay. So let's transition a little bit. Let's see. what was the turning point, and how did you get sober?
Well, I was with a guy, and I mean, he wasn't physically abusive. He was very verbally and mentally abusive, which can be worse sometimes.
Like a gaslighting kind of thing?
Yeah. And, but we did, the survival thing. I did things to survive, stealing. He would steal, I'd return, and we would get the money, and that's how we got our drugs. Well, he at that point was just on crack. I wasn't. I was on crack and heroin, and he said, let's just go to my daughter's in North Carolina and we'll quit cold turkey. Big mistake.
Yeah.
I mean, it was horrible. It was like, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And about 2 days into it, I was done. And we had a car that we had bought for $700. 4 hours from D.C. I was 9 hours from Mississippi. And at that point, I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And he said, well, you're not going back to D.C. You can go back and let your parents handle you. So he was like, it should be out of your system. Well, at that point, his daughter came back there and told me, she said, I ought to let him beat you like he beat my mom. And that did it for me. I said, I'm going. I'm going to go back to Mississippi. And, of course, I didn't go back to Mississippi. I went back to D.C. because I wanted to get better. But I was there for a couple of days, and my parents and my mom's best friend kept calling me, saying, just when are you going to come home? When are you going to come home? And I said, I'll be home soon. Because, I wasn't completely ready at that point.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, I was at a person's house that I knew, and I had enough. I was like, I can't keep living like this. And, I hit my knees and was like, God, if you get me out of this, I'll do what I need to do and stay sober and do what you need me to do. And my mom's friend called me one more time, and I admitted everything to her. And I said, if I come home, I have to go to detox. I can't do this again. And she said, done, and got me a plane ticket the next day.
That's awesome.
So.
Okay. So you came back here and you went to detox.
And yeah, in Batesville.
Okay.
And then they picked me up from detox after 6 days, and started taking me to a rehab on the coast, which they had told me about, but I really didn't. I just wanted detox. I didn't say anything about rehab,
Right.
So,
Nobody wants to go to rehab.
I was like, oh, what have I signed up for? So they drove me down there, and they got me in Home of Grace, and it was just something about it. When I drove on, I was like, on the campus, I was just like, everybody was so cheerful, and a little bit too much for me at the time. But, like, being there for 90 days was just life-changing. It was just, I got back, I came back to the person I used to be, but in a better version, I guess, before addiction.
So we just did a video about rehab.
Mm-hmm.
Were you coerced into going? Like, it was kind of like, here's detox, but then surprise, here's rehab.
No, they told me about it,
Mm-hmm.
but they did the application, they
Okay,
packed me and did everything.
Okay. And it was a good thing?
Yeah, it definitely, at first I really didn't show it to them. I really didn't want to go.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I did. Yeah.
Where was the journey after that?
Well, I came home to my parents for 2 weeks, and they had a contract and everything, and I was like, what is going on? Because it's the trust, I lost their trust, and it wasn't overnight, so it wasn't going to take overnight to get back. So, I had talked to my counselor at treatment about sober living, and I thought about it, and after being there for 2 weeks, I was like, I've got to go somewhere else. I love y'all, but I got to go somewhere else. And it's really funny because my parents, before I got out, were looking for meetings for me in Oxford.
Oh, okay.
And they went to one, and it's one where everybody can go to.
Yeah.
And met a lady there that told her story.
Okay.
She went to the same treatment I did. And my mom was like, oh my gosh, and she went up to her crying. It was like, I don't know what to do. And so I get out, and 3 weeks later, I go for my first time, and they're back. They're from Starkville, and her husband's telling his story. So I was just like, wow, it's just the way things were placed, you know. So we talked for a long time. I got her number, and I found out about, at the time it was called Avante House here in Columbus. And she knew the person running it and connected me with her. And 2 days later, I was on my way here.
Nice.
And I was there for a year before I moved out on my own.
And now, how long have you been in Columbus now?
4 years.
4 years? And all that time, have you been in any rehabs or anything here?
No.
It's just been you on your own, doing your thing.
Yeah.
Working, living.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now that you have been here, you know, on your own doing that, what's life like for you? Like, how do you stay away from your worst vices?
It's the community. I mean, if I don't have that...
By community, are you talking about, like, recovery groups?
Yeah, the recovery groups I go to, the people I stay in contact with, accountability. I mean, this is something you can't do on your own. And, you know, I started facing life sober and learned to live on my own again and pay my bills and, you know,
Live
adult.
Like an adult.
Which, it's not bad all the time, you know. So, I had a couple of legal issues I was taking care of in Maryland in the end of 2017, and I went up there and took care of them.
Okay.
So I came home, it was done, I went to go get my license at the DMV, and I sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and I started kind of getting agitated. I was like, what is going on? Well, in walks the state trooper and says, Miss Mills, can you come with me back here? And I was really like, what is going on? You know, he said, you have warrants in Virginia. And I was like, what? Like, no. And, yeah, and they took me to the county jail here, and I stayed there for 7 hours. It was 3 days before Christmas. It was going to be my first Christmas in 4 years to be with my family. And after sitting there for 6-7 hours, they said, all right, you're free to go, because the state wasn't going to come get me.
Right, yeah.
And so they can't hold me. Well, almost, you know, three years later, last year, I mean, I couldn't go. I didn't have the money to get a lawyer.
Sure, yeah.
I knew I had to take care of it because, one, I couldn't get a license.
Yeah.
Two, I couldn't pursue any other careers that I wanted. So I knew about this one county. I was indicted for 6 charges. So my parents and I, of course I can't fly because I have no ID. We drove all the way up there, and got there, went to meet with my lawyer. That's another thing. The pandemic helped a lot.
Right.
I really think it helped a lot. And I met with my lawyer, and he said, all right, you're going to go in, turn yourself in, we'll bail you out the next day. I was like, all right. And so me and my dad and my brother go to the jail, and we sit there. I'm like, this is not good, because we sat there for an hour. And the cop walks in, and I guess he had my mugshot from 4 years ago, because he was like, Miss Mills? and I was like, yeah, that's me. And he said, you know you're wanted in 4 other jurisdictions. And I was like, do what? And I had my dad, the cop, my brother, big Marine dude, and the door. And you know what was in my mind? The door. And my brother was like, no, you're going to take care of it. Turned out I had not 6, but 38 charges. Yeah, and it was hard. I had to sit in jail for 12 nights, or 11 nights, 12 days. Confused, you know, questioning God, what am I doing? You brought me this far. What's going on? Well, the first bond hearing they did was one county. I had 27 charges. My brother testified for me, the one that kicked me out of his house, because we built that relationship back.
Look at that.
And
how long had you been sober at this point?
A little over 3 years.
So
About 3.5 years.
3 years,
Yeah.
and you're just now.
Yeah.
Whew,
That
okay.
cop's looking at you. He goes, she doesn't look like this picture.
Right. Right. Exactly. So my brother gets up and testifies.
Yeah.
Big Marine dude. Brought tears to his eyes, and the judge is asking me questions. Or not the judge. The prosecutor was asking questions, and the judge was talking to the prosecutor. Says, "All right, prosecutor, what do you want to do?" And he said, "Well, Your Honor, based on this many charges, we don't give a bond." He said, "But based on what we've heard from her lawyer and her brother today, we're going to give her a bond on our own personal recognizance."
Oh, wow.
So I didn't even have to pay. And the judge, of course, tore into me like I'd just gotten sober.
Sure.
Like, I hope you see what you've done to your family. And so the others followed because there weren't as many. So I got bonds for those. Well, for the past 10 months, I've flown 8 round-trip tickets to take care of these. And one by one, they've been knocking them out. I did, for the one I knew about, the 6 charges, I did end up doing 2 months in jail. I was there December and January.
Okay.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 years ago, I would have loved to be there. Homeless on the street,
Sure.
in addiction. But I was around all that. Like, I got there, people were sick, withdrawing. It was horrible. But I was able to be a light to people in there.
Sure.
So I knew it was the reason why I was there, even though it was probably the toughest 2 months of my life.
Yeah.
And then April 26th, I went for the 27 charges. They had dropped 26 of them. So I had 1 charge. I was facing another 1 day to 6 months, and they let it go. No restitution, nothing. And so I'm stuck with probation till everything's paid. But out of 38 charges, that's all I've got left.
Oh my God.
Goosebumps.
Yeah,
How do you feel?
amazing. I feel free, And like for 4 years, I've had this on my back. So it's like now I can like move on with my life. I got my license.
Yeah.
Got a car. I mean, it's amazing.
So life's kind of in motion right now.
Yeah.
So go back to family. What's going on there?
My family?
Yeah. How's that relationship?
Oh, amazing.
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 Okay.
I've got a great relationship with my parents.
Yeah.
There's still some mending I'm working on in my family, because I mean, it's a lot of things that I put my family through, and but once I am able to sit down and talk with all my family, I think it'll be all right.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's an amazing story. Yeah, let's go with this one. Okay, if you had a tool that you could talk about, or something that you've used, in all of your years of sobriety now, like what's been your biggest tool to stay sober?
I don't have just one; I have 3.
We'll go for it.
The first has been God. I mean, God's been, I grew up in church, so I knew who God was. I just kind of went off the path of not seeking Him and having a relationship with Him. But He's always number 1 in my life. And then my sobriety's number 2 because I have to focus on keeping myself sober. And then number 3 is my family and my friends and my accountability. Because like I said, I'd be right back if I didn't have somebody to call when I was having a bad day.
So then have those people like your inner circle, has that changed since 4 years ago?
Oh yeah.
Different kind of people, huh?
Definitely. Definitely. And it's weird because like I grew up I was overweight at a young age, and I had a lot of bullying. I had a lot of self-esteem issues. I didn't know how to handle myself. I would always cry all the time. I would just was a weakling, I guess. And, like today, I know how to handle myself. I know what my worth is, and I know what I've overcome. And, people who are there for me, I know they love me for me, and it's not just some show. And, today when I make a wrong, I know how to make it right. Even before sobriety, I struggled with that. But being sober and all this stuff and the tools I've learned, it's like I know how to live life today.
Do you think that the struggle, without that struggle, you wouldn't be the person you are today? What do you think?
Without the,
You struggled pretty hard
yeah,
and made it through that,
yeah.
and have come out quite an amazing person. Would you be that person without that struggle?
Without
Would you
the,
have become that person without all of that pain?
probably not.
You don't think so? Sometimes pain brings out the best stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of us come back to tell a story that's sort of heartwarming and moving. So, let's see. Okay, so this is my favorite question because in the stories, you know, you've gone through a lot. You have your experience. So if there was somebody in front of you, brand new, and you could save them the trouble of something or give them your best advice, what would you tell them? It's on the spot.
I know it's a deep question because I mean it depends on the situation. You know, the way I look at it is, you know, what I've done to stay sober, like I said, is my accountability, God, and staying in the meetings and keeping myself surrounded with people. You know, what I overcame this past year, I see it as equal to everything people overcome, whether it be getting their children back, whether it be getting their legal stuff taken care of, whether it be getting their family back, or, you know, getting new family. You know, the people around here become family to people who don't have family. And if you just stay in it, keep in the meetings, keep in touch with people, you know, get phone numbers, and if that person doesn't answer, call the next person. But there's always going to be somebody there for you if you keep reaching out. But that's the thing I struggled with at first, was it was hard for me to reach out to people.
Dialogue.
Yeah, because I was very timid and, you know, recluse from people, and I had to open up, and I had to learn that I have to ask for help. You know, I have to seek people for advice, you know, for suggestions that I can take that I don't know how to, you know, handle. So
I think staying strong, if you have a faith in your faith, is a big thing.
absolutely.
But what you just said to me just says faith without works is dead, and you gotta reach out.
Absolutely.
Anything else? Is there anything else you want to share? You're on candid camera.
No, I mean, not much. It's just it's been a long road and journey, but you know, it's not just a 4-year process. It's gonna be the rest of my life.
Sure.
I'm gonna come towards obstacles I'm gonna have to overcome again, you know. But I just have to keep pushing forward, and I can't let that temptation pull me back, because I look at life now and see how happy I am, you know, and how, you know, the things I mean, the way I live life today is just it's so much better than, like, what do they say? It's like your worst day sober is better than your best day, you know, in addiction.
Yeah.
So.
And they also say that God wouldn't put anything in your life that He didn't think you can handle.
Right.
And if you got those tests and went through them, I'll be honest with you, I'm a baby.
It wasn't easy, but you know, it's like I had to look at life. It was like, I'm not going to continue life. You know, I didn't say this, but like, I was facing 5 life sentences. And to know, yeah, I mean, I was like, it is, I mean, I have to take care of it. You know, I can't just not have a license or a job that I want to pursue, or, you know, I couldn't live life. And I had to move forward and take care of them, you know. And once I got in there, I found out about that, and I was like, oh man. But I was in it. I was in it for the long haul, and I had to take care of it, you know. So.
Very proud of you for that.
Thank you.
I knew how hard it was for you to go up there, and
Yeah.
man, my heart just broke for you every time you had to get on that plane, because I know how terrified you were, and I just, man, I have like the utmost respect for you, like going and just saying, you know what, I'm here, I'm gonna face this.
Yeah.
Because I know that was like, I have goosebumps all over.
Well, if nothing else, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.